Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of July 24th, 2025, including Battlefield 6 gets an official reveal, Xbox TV and movies is going bye-bye, Donkey Kong is curing our Xbox ED, and more. On This Week in Xbox History, in the year 2008, 17 years ago, Sid Meier's Civilization Revolution was released for the Xbox 360. Developed by Firaxis, the only game I've ever played by these guys is Marvel Midnight Suns, but I know that this is a super popular game, as well as the XCOM series, and as well as future Civ games, including the recently released Civ 7? I think 7 was the one that came out earlier this year. Guys, I have nothing to say about this. I know, Cronky, if you're listening, you're like, I love Civ Revolution, Civilization. Listen, all I know about this game is I remember being over at my mom's boyfriend's house, and his kids liked this game a lot, and the older one would play it all the time, and I would walk into his room, and you'd just see, like, fucking Gandhi, and he'd be like, and then you'd be, like, selecting units to deploy, and you'd be, like, making diplomatic decisions with the Aristotle, Stosoples, and Mesophilioma, and all these fucking ancient Greeks, and then, you know, of course, there'd be Kratos and Beatrice and Abraham Lincoln and Ho Chi Minh, and it's just like I don't get this game. You could be playing Halo 3 right now, but instead you're playing this, and that was Civilization Revolution, and I feel like everyone around me liked this game a lot, and I was just too much of a loser to ever give it a go or even care about it. And you know what? Fast forward all these years later, 17 years later, I still don't give a shit. Because I got Donkey Kong, and you've got a revolution happening inside your Xbox. The revolution is that all the people that make the games for your Xbox are out of a job. So the joke's on you. Guys, welcome to Xbox On. It's episode 321. I can't believe Xbox hasn't shut this podcast down yet, but we'll keep going until they do. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. Normally I would just say, here's a notable game releasing, but I don't even care. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. I know there are people looking forward to this game. I can't. Wukong, Fallen Frontiers, Atlas Fallen, Shrugged, what's the one called? It's fucking, The Fallen, what's the new game? The one that they're making the remake of. I can't stand it. All the games with the Fallen in the name. And all the fucking Bloodborne type games. Listen, guys, we can't start out the week like this. I promise I like video games. It's just you can't keep hitting me with this stuff. Now, I know this is a Souls-like RPG game. It's a day one Game Pass game, a great get for Xbox, of course. It says, set in the dark final days of the Ming Dynasty, play as Wu Chang, a pirate warrior battling memory loss and a deadly curse. You must master brutal combat, evolve your skills, and uncover the truth behind a world consumed by chaos. Or you could just play that monkey boy and collect all the bananas, and I will definitely do that instead. But Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, what's the one I'm trying to think of? I sound so fucking out of it. Look. Games that have fallen in the title. Games that end in the suffix fall. Rant, rave, confusion, perplexity, and tragic comedy. This is from r/games 4 years ago. Dark or fall. It always ends in Shadow War, Shadow Warrior, Shadow Complex. That was one. Killzone Shadowfall. No, come on. I guess we need a newer thread to make fun of this. Here it is. Godfall, Greedfall, Babylon's Fall, Titanfall, Resistance, Fall of Man, Elder Scrolls. Okay, so the Fall one's a big one, but Fallen is a big one as well now. It doesn't matter. Lords of the Fallen, that's the one I was thinking of. Fuck me. I can't. I can't with the names, and then everything's a Souls-like. Come on, guys. Please go easy on my fucking geriatric brain that can't keep up with these games. They all look the same, they all sound the same, they all have the same name, and I know if you're a fan of the genre, it's like, no, you don't understand the difference. I get it. I'm a hypocrite, I know, because when Cronky tells me there's no difference between all the Call of Duties that come out, I go, well, you're a fucking idiot if you can't tell the difference between Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, but then I get it. He lacks the exposure to the franchise that provides them the nuance to understand why one of them was a great game and one of them was ass. I'm looking at you, Modern Warfare 3, you piece of ass. All right, guys, let's get into the podcast. How are we doing this week? It's been a weird one, right? Ever since the big news of all the layoffs and stuff, because one, it's just we're kind of moving into a slow period of news for Xbox right now. Obviously, we'll get a little pop off in a few weeks here in August when Gamescom rolls around, as we know that Xbox is teasing some form of presence and that we're going to get some Halo announcements. So we know something's coming soon. And so there's stuff to look forward to, no doubt. But in the weeks since the big layoffs at Xbox, they have, understandably so, just gone really, really quiet. And there's just not been a whole lot to talk about. Compounding that issue is personally in my own life, I've just really been, just harmonizing with this whole Switch 2 launch and with what's all going on in that brand new platform. And so it's like this perfect harmony of like Xbox kind of eating shit right now while Nintendo's kind of doing some cool stuff, and there's just a lot of reasons to just not pay attention to Xbox. I know that's not how it's going to be in the long run, but it just feels that way as of late. And then on top of that, as we talked about last week, I let my Game Pass subscription lapse because I'm just kind of like, I feel like the thing to do right now is to just kind of take a break from Xbox. I'm not super happy with some of the things they've been doing lately. I kind of am not fond of how Microsoft's been handling this division of their company, and so I just kind of want to take a break. It's not that I'm putting my money where my mouth is. It's not that I'm making a statement. It's just that I feel like a break would do me some good, and so I've kind of stepped away from Game Pass in particular, but Xbox kind of generally so the past week or so. I might falter sooner rather than later and get Game Pass back because I remembered, Xbox Live is dead. I need this to play video games. So, the other day I was like, I kind of want to go play some fucking Call of Duty. But I was like, oh, wait, I can't because you can't play games online without some form of a Game Pass subscription, at least Game Pass Core. Anyway, so that became a whole thing, but for the most part, it's been pretty easy to stay away from Xbox, not because it's not great. I love my Xbox. I want to play my Xbox. But Donkey Kong just came out, and I've had a busy past week, so it's just there's been a lot of things keep me away. But we'll get into that when we get to what I've been playing. You guys, with it being another kind of dead week as far as the news, we're going to keep it up with let's just go through all the news up front, and then we'll just finish up with what I've been playing and comments because there really aren't a whole lot of news stories, certainly not enough to divvy it all up into like, oh, here's the big news, here's the small news. So we'll just kind of go through them as they come. And I actually really want to start out, so we'll just go into that right now. But I really want to start out with this first one because by the time this podcast goes live, this news will have already been dated. And that is that EA has officially announced they will have an official reveal for Battlefield 6 on Thursday morning, July 24th. After months of leaks and rumors and things, the publisher has taken to social media to announce that the reveal trailer for the game, officially titled Battlefield 6, is coming on this Thursday. A brief teaser appears with the game's key art, which you can see online. It looks like decent key art. It looks like Battlefield 2042, but now it says Battlefield 6. This does nothing for me. I saw a lot of people like, oh yeah, start the hype, let's bring it on, Battlefield, here we fucking go. I wish I could feel that way. Listen, I like Battlefield. It's always a game where every time it comes around, I'm like, yeah, let's give it the old college try. Let's pay attention to the trailers. Let's see if it looks any good, and I'll give it a go at some point. I love giving Battlefield a try. It's just so rarely does this franchise really work for me. I mean, I think in all the history of Battlefield, the Battlefield games that have worked for me are like Bad Company 1 and 2, 1943, Battlefield 3 to some extent. Hardline I actually kind of liked, if that's a controversial take, I'm not sure. Battlefield 1 to some extent, mostly just the campaign really. And that's kind of it. Honestly, I didn't hate 2042 as much as other people did, but it definitely didn't like grab me. So I don't know. The thing about Battlefield is just like, I like it. I feel like I always want to like Battlefield more than I actually like Battlefield. I think that's the problem. Every time it comes around, I'm like, yeah, I can enjoy this in tandem with Call of Duty, and then it comes out, and I'm just like, it's so easy to get addicted to Call of Duty. You can criticize Call of Duty for being so surface level and so basic and so repetitive and simplistic, but it's like that's what's so great about it. It's like fucking pizza. Yeah, it's just bread with cheese and sauce on it, but damn, does it taste good every fucking time. Whereas Battlefield is more nuanced. It's a little bit more of like a fine dining meal. I know people like to compare the two just because they're military shooters, but they're really not one and the same. Battlefield is a lot more technical and nuanced. It is large scale warfare. It is way bigger, big team battle. It's vehicles, it's special equipment, it's roles and different classes. It's a lot more sim-like compared to Call of Duty. There's just a lot more technicality and nuance going on in Battlefield, the destructibility, all the rest. So Battlefield, I think, is a lot more of an advanced game than Call of Duty, but I think that's exactly what its detriment is like it's like Tony Hawk versus Skate. Tony Hawk, you can just pick up the controller and hit the X button 5 times and you pull off the craziest tricks you've ever seen in your life. But Skate's like, you got to watch YouTube videos on how to get good at controlling yourself on a skateboard. I just feel that way about Battlefield, where sometimes it's just too involved trying to get good and read and understand the game properly. But Call of Duty is just like, turn off your tiny monkey brain and have fun for an hour. And I think that's just kind of where I've always fallen on this. But nonetheless, because there's always this obligatory conversation of like, Call of Duty versus Battlefield. And it's like, I think they're both great. I'm glad they both exist. I'm glad they both have each other to compete with one another to some extent, although the end products are very different from one another. But Battlefield, despite not being a game I've spent nearly as much time with as Call of Duty, is a game I'm always looking forward to the next entry of, and I'm always optimistic about, if this one's going to speak to me more like 1943 or Bad Company did, or if it's going to be, just like another one like Battlefield 4, where I'm like, oh, that's fine, I don't care. So who knows? We won't talk about it much more because, what else is there to say? By the time you guys are listening to this podcast, you'll have already seen the reveal trailer, and then we'll talk about it in more detail next week. But I am pretty curious to see this trailer and get a glimpse of it, especially because, speaking of Call of Duty, we're still waiting to see what the fuck Black Ops 7 is, so I know we're going to get that at Gamescom as well. So, we must continue to do, I guess. All right, guys, let's talk about the biggest news story of the week, although it's not too big. It actually is very heartbreaking for me on a personal level, although I suspect, statistically speaking, that the majority of you guys probably don't use this feature or give a shit about this feature's existence, but it matters to me, so damn it, let's go on way too long to talk about it. From VGC, Microsoft have abruptly ceased selling digital films and TV on its Xbox and PC stores. The change happened on July 18th when Microsoft accidentally realized that they had a pro-consumer entertainment offering, and they realized they had to kill it immediately so they could continue focusing on enterprise solutions and boring AI bullshit. No, it says the change happened on July 18th when Microsoft confirmed that it will no longer sell movies or TV and that no refunds would be available for any previously purchased content. They say, fuck you. Microsoft has claimed that they already purchased shows will be able to be re-downloaded going forward, of course. A statement on the Microsoft support site reads, Microsoft no longer offers new entertainment content for purchase, including movies and TV shows on Microsoft.com, Microsoft Store, Windows, and on Xbox Storefront on Xbox. However, you can continue to access purchased content from movies and TV app and Xbox or Windows devices on Xbox or Windows devices. This move seemingly marks a complete shift away from offering video content 12 years after the release of the Xbox One, which was, of course, a launch that positioned the console as an all-in-one home entertainment device. The Microsoft support site now recommends customers use third-party services available on Microsoft stores, such as Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and much more. Oh boy, where does that sound familiar? Oh, like when they got rid of Beam/Mixer and told everyone to go to Facebook Gaming for streaming content, or like that time they got rid of Xbox Music or Groove Music and told everyone to go to Spotify to eat shit, or that time, etc., etc., etc. They got rid of Windows Phone, and they didn't even say to go elsewhere, but they just kind of alluded to go get yourself a fucking iPhone like everyone else, you idiot. Stop wasting time on your stupid Windows Phone. Nobody cares. So here's just another one. Oh, yay. In the era of Microsoft knows how to fire people. Microsoft knows how to replace people with AI. Microsoft knows how to kill fun initiatives and projects. Microsoft knows how to drive talent away from their company. We have just another small one, no doubt, but notable cancellation, disappointment, change in plan, whatever. It's just, here's another consumer-facing product that is designed to make Microsoft more of an entertainment company, more of a consumer electronic company, and less of a enterprise productivity-based company, and just kind of helps spread spread the love with what all Microsoft as a company can get invested in and do. This is just the latest example of them trying to downsize that initiative and to become less and less fun and creative as time goes on. This one bothers me because this is genuinely where I purchased movies and TV shows. Now, I don't think I ever purchased a TV show. And to be fair, I barely ever purchase movies because, like most modern people, I just kind of rely on streaming apps and whatever to watch movies. And aside from that, I pretty much don't watch much else. But there are movies I like to buy. Anytime a Spider-Man movie comes out, I buy it. Anytime a Transformers movie comes out, I buy it. Anytime there's a movie that like particularly stands out to me as like, hey, this is a really special movie and I just want to have this in my small collection of movies, something like a drama film or something that means a lot to me, I buy it. And a lot of times when things go on sale on Xbox, I'll always peruse through the movie selection and be like, hey, what movies are on sale? Maybe there's something I want to get here. Sometimes, there's a movie you want to watch and it's just like $1 or $2 more to buy the movie than it is to rent the movie digitally. So you just buy it, whatever. I have amassed a sizable amount of movies in my Xbox TV and movies collection over the years. I'd say I have 30, 40 movies in there. And this is my preferred way to watch movies, is to turn on my Xbox and go to my movies and TV app and pull from my list there. And then the thing I do in tandem with this is I use the Movies Anywhere app, which is an app that Disney made about a decade ago or so. And then, so Disney made this app and then collaborated with most of the platforms and movie studios to build this streaming platform where you connect like your Disney account and your Paramount account and your HBO and your Amazon Prime and your Xbox and your Apple ID and all of your services and products that connect movies and television. And then you go in through Movies Anywhere and it syncs your library. So you could be on your Xbox and access movies you've purchased from Amazon.com or vice versa. Or you could, be on Disney, whatever, you get the idea. And you just get all your stuff synced across all platforms, Google Play, Apple App Store, whatever. And I loved this because thanks to Disney with the Movies Anywhere app and Xbox with their preferred UI look and feel, I felt like I was able to get a pretty good movie library, have everything all in one place, and be able to access it across multiple devices. I liked the system. This is where I bought my movies and how I collected. Now, I know a little, these things never last forever. Obviously, the most foolproof way to handle this is to just buy Blu-rays and DVDs and have your own physical players to play your physical media on your fucking stupid-ass TV. I get that. But still, I really did enjoy the convenience and the accessibility and look and feel of this whole ecosystem. And it was my preferred way to engage with TV and movie content. And now it's just another initiative that's dead, something that makes my Surface Pro a little less fun, something that makes my Xbox a little less fun, something that makes Microsoft a little less fun, something that I now have to go out to another company to get access to and use a less appealing platform like Amazon. Dude, Amazon's always the prime company because Amazon has so many great services and features and things that are excellent to use, like Prime TV and Amazon Music and Alexa and Kindle and all these things. But like the problem is the UI, the interface, the look and feel of everything Amazon touches and creates just looks like cheap ass. Always. Just so bad. Always so bad. But I have to go to these platforms because I can trust that Amazon's going to take better care of me as a consumer of media than Microsoft, because Microsoft right now just wants you to ask AI how to hide your fucking girlfriend's panties from your wife so you never get caught, and then fucking subscribe to Microsoft 365 for $70 a year so that you can fucking save PDFs of tax forms from 35 years ago, because that is the Xbox, or not Xbox, that's the Microsoft we now have exclusively. Can't have fun. No music, no Forza, no video games, no Windows Phone, no Zune, nothing. No fun will be allowed on this premises. So adding insult to injury, adding salt to the wound, here's yet another thing that once made Microsoft fun and exciting and usable and give you some kind of feeling like this is a digital ecosystem and platform and company I can get dug in and invested with, that we just have to now search elsewhere to get that kind of experience. So cool. I hope you all ask Copilot how to cope with the loss of your TV and movies. And I maybe what I really should have led with as I lament the loss of this feature is that I am one of the few, and maybe this makes me a fucking idiot, but I am one of the few that does not hate the Xbox One era. I always have to say this in case there's new listeners. I don't hate the Xbox One era. I am aware enough to know that the Xbox One reveal and how they handled and marketed that device was an absolute clusterfuck and a huge failure that led to a huge downfall in Xbox. I know that. But as someone who actually bought Xbox One early on in its life cycle and used that console almost exclusively throughout that entire generation, I am someone who really liked the Xbox One. I really liked its original vision. I liked Kinect. I liked the Windows 8 UI. I liked all of it. I really loved Xbox One. And the idea of Xbox being this all-in-one entertainment device where I can snap Hulu to the corner of my screen while I'm playing Titanfall, the fact that I can watch TV and movies and, play Kinect games that actually work really well on Xbox One Kinect, and then just do hardcore Call of Duty and Halo gaming later when I want to. I loved that device. I thought it looked great. It felt great. It had a unique identity. It was separate from PlayStation while also keeping up toe-to-toe with what PlayStation could do, and it was fun. It was unique, and it wasn't for everyone, but it was something that I was a fan of and that I enjoyed a great deal. So to me, this is like another one of those pulling the plug on an identity that has long since been dead that I actually was a supporter and a fan of. So rest in peace, movies and TV. All right, let's keep it moving, guys. All right, Indiana Jones, the fucking Machine Games, the guys that make Wolfenstein, Indiana Jones. So there is... All right, let's talk about this. So Machine Games going over some financials, and they say, and again, of course, this is translated from Swedish because they're a Swedish team. In a financial discussion, the developer talks about, kind of the future of the studio. And in this little excerpt, there's a little sentence from this document released with financial information. They say that they are excited to work on new projects in development, and that Machine Games is optimistic about the future for both the company and the industry as a whole. And a lot of people clung on to this whole, whoa, with exciting new projects in development, well, we only know about this DLC for Indiana Jones that's coming out. Well, obviously, they're working on a new game. It's probably an Indiana Jones sequel, but if not, maybe they're coming back and doing more Wolfenstein or something else. And so this got people thinking and talking, oh my God, is Machine Games getting ready to announce another game? I don't think we're going to get a game announcement from these guys for probably 2 or 3 years. But yes, of course, they're working on other projects aside from DLC for Indiana Jones. So I just wanted to acknowledge that this is a thing, but I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. I think I could see this going either which way. I think it's possible that Indiana Jones does not get a sequel, and that the licensing fees are really expensive, and it doesn't seem like this game did that well financially, at least on Xbox, to really justify keeping it going, the high development costs of video games plus the licensing fee from Disney to use Indiana Jones, unless the experience of putting this game on PlayStation did well enough for them to justify the development costs of the game, which I don't really know because we don't know a whole lot about how this game sold, but anecdotally it seems like it sold all right, but not all too impressive. It just seems like Indiana Jones as an IP doesn't really have as much gravitas and weight behind it as it once did. And yeah, you could blame, it's, the fourth or fifth movies weren't good or whatever. It's like, I just feel like this is an IP that kind of just sat around too long without being used. And when they brought it back, it was like, oh, that's for a different generation. This isn't as timeless as Star Wars. Although I personally really like Indiana Jones, I just feel like that's kind of the vibe I get that a lot of the modern generation feels about this IP. So I don't really know if Indiana Jones is the thing to go back to. Common sense would indicate they would take what they built with the first game and then build the sequel. But unless that game was a lot more successful than we know about, I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see if Indiana Jones is a one-off and then they move over back to like Wolfenstein. What I would really love to see these guys do is take over like Quake or something and do a game like that, as we thought id was doing recently until Doom: The Dark Ages was announced. I just really want to see more first-person shooters from them. I liked Indiana Jones a lot. I would welcome a sequel and enjoy it a great deal, but I just think that these guys are at their best when they're making very violent R-rated shooters. And I would like to see them continue to do that because Wolfenstein and Quake and Doom are such great IP that it's like, yeah, it's cool that we got an Indiana Jones game, especially as a one-off, but like, I don't know, I would rather Disney continue to make Disney movies instead of Avatar movies. I would rather Xbox Studios make Xbox games instead of Disney games. So it's just like, we can get a little something on the side every once in a while. I'm cool with a Spider-Man game here and Indiana Jones game there. But let's keep it focused on the IP you have, because you guys have great shit too that doesn't translate well to movies. So let's keep getting those awesome video games you're known for making. All right, moving on. Speaking of awesome video games I'll never know about because I don't play from Software, the Elden Ring studio From Software is reportedly working on another unannounced multi-platform video game separate from their recently announced Switch 2 title, Duskbloods. According to some people, they believe that some publications, they believe that this game could be released as soon as next year, which is crazy considering they just released a game this summer, that Elden Ring multi-platform fucking multiplayer game, and then Night Rainers, right? Elden Ring Night Rain. And then we know they got the Switch 2 game in development. So for them to be making another game that could be coming out as soon as next year would probably indicate that it's like DLC or a remake or something. So maybe some DLC for Elden Ring. Some people think it might be Armored Core getting some DLC, although I don't know about that. Armored Core is like 2 years old and it doesn't seem like it did nearly as well as like Dark Souls and stuff. So it's like, really, do you want to do that? But some people think it's a remake or remastering of Dark Souls 3, which just sounds comical to me because isn't Dark Souls 3 like 7 years old? Like, why are we remastering that game? But yeah, so nonetheless, it sounds like people are now expecting a From Software game that we don't already know about to be not only announced but released within probably the next 12 months or so. So keep an eye out for more From Software in the not so distant future. I got to give these guys credit. They are an incredibly efficient and lean development studio when it just comes to the number of projects they're able to really, get out there into the wild. So good for them. All right, next up, we got some Ubisoft news. CEO Yves Guillemot talks about, a Ghost Recon game coming. So from VGC, in a recent annual highlight meeting by GameFile, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot and CFO Frederick Duguet fielded questions from shareholders. Notably, a pair mentioned a new Ghost Recon game in multiple times. Ubisoft has not announced a new Ghost Recon, so this represents the first time the public is hearing about such a project. In one segment in which Guillemot mentioned the success of Rainbow Six Siege as an example of its ability to make live service games, the CEO said, quote, "In addition to flagship games I just mentioned, our objective is also to make strong progress in the market towards, generally speaking, by continuing to enhance our current experiences that we offer, and by capitalizing on upcoming launches such as The Division and Ghost Recon." Later, CFO Duguet was asked how Ubisoft will spend its investment it received from Tencent as part of the creation of the new subsidiary, which we talked about a few months ago. Part of the investment, he said, will be used for future development of other major brand names. So we got Ghost Recon just being one example for our first-person shooter type games. Ghost Recon's most recent entry was Breakpoint, which was a commercial and critical disappointment, prompting Ubisoft to delay a slate of its biggest games to ensure quality. Another project, the planned live-action Ghost Recon Frontline, was canceled before launch. Was that the Battle Royale one? Ghost Recon Frontline, and then the internet shat on it, and then they just immediately canceled it. And this was while X Defiant was kind of in the in the spotlight for being a stupid name with a stupid looking game. If I remember correctly, I think that's what Ghost Recon Frontline was a battle royale or something like that. Ghost Recon's such a weird one. I played not Breakpoint. What was it? Wildlands was the one before it. I played that game. I got it for dirt cheap on sale once, and there have been 2 or 3 times I've attempted to get into that game, and I just can't. That game just doesn't do it for me. I want to like it, but I don't. And every time Breakpoint goes on one of those crazy Ubisoft sales where it's $7 and you get Breakpoint and all the DLC, you get the deluxe edition of the game, I'm always like, oh man, I really want to play this, but I know I didn't like Wildlands. I know Breakpoint is more of the same. It's not a good idea, so I never buy it, but I'm always curious about it. I don't know. Ghost Recon's just never really done it for me personally, but I know it's a big one for Ubisoft, so obviously you assume that they continue to invest in this. They haven't really spoken about this as one of their pillars with this new subsidiary spin-off thing they're doing. They talk about Assassin's Creed, they talk about Far Cry, but they don't talk about Ghost Recon. So this would be a different vertical for them to continue to be investing in, and you wonder if it goes into the kind of dying Ubisoft brand of things, or if it goes into the new subsidiary that's meant to hold all their tentpole series. Because as suggested, Ghost Recon Breakpoint did disappoint, financially. So I'm wondering if they have something big plan to kind of overhaul or reintroduce the series in a new and unique way, because Breakpoint and Wildlands were drastically different Ghost Recon games from the Ghost Recon we had during like the OG Xbox and Xbox 360 era. So clearly this is a series that has been reinvented many times before. We saw they were going to try and reinvent it yet again with Ghost Recon Frontline before that was canceled. So obviously Ubisoft has shown a desire to reinvent this, to have Ghost Recon be this thing that is Ghost Recon in name only, as it continues to be many different things. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they're going back to the drawing board, but Ghost Recon is still an IP they favor very much so, and feel that there's a lot juice left to squeeze from this lemon. So we'll see how that goes. But Ghost Recon, apparently alive and well. We got your CEO and your CFO name dropping it left and right during this investment meeting. So that at least indicates something positive for the franchise if you're a fan. So stay optimistic in that regard. Guys, that is it for all the news. Again, it's a slow news week. I should have said at the top of the show, I am recording the show a day early again, which is a risky move. I just keep having life stuff pop up that's like kind of making me shift around my recording schedule, and Tuesday just keeps becoming this day that's really ideal to record. And it got to the point where I was like, should I just do Xbox on Tuesdays and release it on Wednesdays? And the reason I really don't want to do that, I might have to do that, but the reason why I really don't want to do that is because I feel like so much Xbox news happens on Wednesdays that I'm just like, if anything, I'd rather move the podcast back, record on a Thursday, release it on a Friday, because I don't want to miss the Xbox news that always happens on Wednesdays. But I don't know. I keep being put in this situation. So I'm going to keep it with the regular Wednesday recording, Thursday release schedule for as long as I can. But I'm starting to think about maybe, does Xbox On need to change its recording/release date? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. This would be unprecedented in the 6 years I've been doing the podcast. It's always been record on Wednesday, release on Thursday. I mean, we can't change things, for Christ's sake. That's, every time in human history we make changes, our old way of living dies off. Can you imagine if we never gave women the chance to vote? Where we'd be, we'd still be the way things used to be. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's different. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying things used to be a certain way and they're not that way anymore. And I just look around and I don't recognize the world I live in anymore. I'm not trying to say nothing. Unsavory or woke or nothing. I'm just trying to say things used to be a certain way. A guy could say or do a certain kind of thing that he just can't get away with no longer. And so I wonder if we take Xbox On and we move it to a different day of the week, is boys going to start using girls' bathrooms or something? I just worry about that kind of thing. So that's all. But you guys, I think that's going to do it for our news. Now we will jump into the what I've been playing to talk about Donkey Kong December. But before I can tell you about what I've been playing, I first got to tell you about what it is I've been eating. You guys, this weekend, a couple weeks back, I got some dirt cheap tickets to see the Tampa Bay Rays this summer, basically any game this summer. They are playing, for those who don't know and don't care, Tampa Bay Rays, our local baseball team, my favorite baseball team since I was a child. They are playing in actual Tampa Bay this year, because last year that Hurricane Milton fucked up our stadium, our field in St. Petersburg, Florida, ripped the roof right off that bitch. So they are not playing at their at Tropicana Field this season. We're playing at Steinbrenner, which is it's the New York Yankees spring training field, and it's in Tampa. It's actually right across the street from where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play. So it's like right there in the heart of Tampa. And I got some tickets for dirt cheap, and I reached out to my dad, and I was like, yo, I got these tickets for dirt cheap. We're going to go see some baseball games. And my dad was like, I can fly down for the weekend if you want to go see a game together. And I was like, yes. So I took my dad and my stepmother to a baseball game this weekend. They flew into Tampa. We spent the weekend together. And it was a great time. Super fucking hot. It was like 147,000 degrees outside. If you've ever been to a Tampa Bay Rays baseball game, a home game, you know that they play inside a dome. They play inside an air-conditioned baseball field. People give this field a lot of shit. Tropicana Field, people give it a lot of shit because it doesn't feel like a baseball field. It's inside. It's got no heart. It's kind of soulless. I love Tropicana Field. Fuck you. I love watching baseball games in the air conditioning. But yeah, watching Florida baseball in Tampa Bay on a hot ass Saturday in July, that is an endurance challenge. But that's not what I've been eating. I wasn't eating the Tampa Bay Rays, actually. They're doing a good job eating their own success right now by fucking throwing away everything good they've done the past few months away with this horrible lose streak we're on. Anyway, while I met up with my family in Tampa this weekend, we went out to lunch, and we went to a restaurant. You know, my dad's he's a little boomer, like, when it comes to the food. You know, he's like, I like steak, I like it American, you know, that kind of thing. And so I was like, all right, he goes, Jesse, find a restaurant for us to have lunch at. So I do some digging around, and I find, very close to where my dad was staying, the hotel he's at, there's a J. Alexander's, which is I don't know, like, how prevalent they are. It is a chain restaurant. I don't know how prevalent this place is because I don't think I've ever seen one in Tampa or in Orlando, and I don't think I've seen one in most states I've been to, but we did have like one or two of these in Georgia, and they have one in Tampa. And the reason I picked this is because, one, it fits the bill perfectly for my dad. It's, you know, you can get fucking steak and burgers and American food, whatever. But also because J. Alexander's, the company, I don't know what restaurant group owns them, but the restaurant group that owns J. Alexander's bought out this restaurant I used to work at back when I was in high school called Stony River Legendary Steaks. That was a local restaurant in Georgia, in Duluth, Georgia, where I worked, the original location. It was started by a couple like fucking fancy rich golf dudes who wanted to have a nice kind of stuffy steakhouse. And so they opened one in Duluth, Georgia, and then over time it grew into like 3 or 4 locations. There's one in Roswell, Georgia. There's 1 or 2 somewhere else. I don't remember where. But that's not the point. The point is, I used to work, that was my first restaurant job. I started working there as a busboy like my sophomore year of high school, and I worked there for almost 3 years. Those were good years. I loved that job. That was an eye-opening, seminal experience for me, working, you know, being a really goody two-shoes high school boy, working in the restaurant industry, getting exposed to just how colorful the restaurant industry is, and just I have really good memories working that job, though. Those are some good old days from high school. So I was interested in trying J. Alexander's because I was like, I wonder, you know, when J. Alexander's bought Stony River, which was around the time I left the company. In you know high school, college, whatever, you just jump around from job to job wherever your buddies go. So I wondered, I was like, I wonder if there's anything about the menu that feels similar, because Stony River was like a upscale, where I used to work, was like an upscale steakhouse, and then J. Alexander's was like a, you know, faux upscale chain steakhouse restaurant, you know, like a fucking what's the other one called, Ruth Chris, like that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, let's try this out. I wonder if it will feel somewhat nostalgic. So we go into this place, this J. Alexander, and it's the first time I've ever actually eaten at one, and I gotta say, right then and there, I'm like, holy shit. This place feels kind of like my old job back in high school. And then like I'm like trying to order off the menu based on things that seem similar to this to the menu we had back at Stony River when I was like in high school 15 years ago, eating this shit. And I got like their house salad and stuff. I'm like, holy crap, this ranch dressing tastes the exact same as the ranch dressing back at Stony River. Oh my God, it feels like 2011 again. And you know, order a couple things, and it was just weird how you know, how much like the chain influenced the other restaurant I used to work at, and there was something like oddly comforting and nostalgic about it. But aside from that, the restaurant was totally fine. It was not incredible. It was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was a chain steakhouse restaurant that markets itself towards your boomer parents, and most millennials and Gen Z would probably never be caught dead in. But I enjoyed it a great amount because it has that vibe that restaurants used to have 20, 30 years ago. You know, you go in there, it's like dark, rich wood colors everywhere. It's not open windows everywhere. Every table's a booth. There's no tables that are just fucking wobbly in the middle of a fucking warehouse like millennials love to eat in. It had that cozy wood fire kind of vibe that I just love from like those it's like steakhouse. It's like where you go to drink a bottle of red wine and have a ribeye, and it just is good atmosphere, decent food, and a little bit nostalgic and comforting. So that was J. Alexander's. Would I ever go back on my own? Probably not really. I can't imagine I ever would, but if my dad's like, hey, that J. Alexander place was good, you want to go there again? I'd be like, fuck yeah. But I'll just, I'm a millennial, so I'll just stick to fucking $28 cheeseburgers with aioli sauce and a guy with a beard and an apron trying to sell me a $14 craft cocktail. So that's it for what I've been eating. You guys, now on to what I have been playing. So I got Donkey Kong Bonanza, obviously the hottest game out right now, and I wanted to play it so bad when it came out late last week, but I still had Star Wars The Force Unleashed to get through, and I'm trying really hard to be a good boy. Like, if I start a game and I know I like it and I know I want to see it through the end, just finish it. You don't have to bounce around to something else. If you're at risk for losing your interest in another game over it, sure, go wherever the fun brings you. But if you know you would enjoy finishing the game you're working on and then enjoy going on to a different game after that, just pace yourself. You don't have to rush. There's no benefit to being first. It's not like if I play Donkey Kong and beat it before someone else, I'm going to have some magical experience or bragging power or significance over another person. So it's like, just calm yourself the fuck down. Play Donkey Kong when you finish Star Wars. So I spent most of my weekend, in my gaming time that is, wrapping up Star Wars The Force Unleashed on the Switch. And like I said, I've beaten this game a couple of times on the Xbox 360, but I've never played the Wii version, which the Switch version I just played is a remastering of that Wii version. So I was really curious to try it because back in those days, I liked a lot of those Wii versions of games. Sometimes they were even better than some of the Xbox 360, PS3 versions of games. In this case, I can confidently say that's not true. The Xbox 360 version is the better version of this game, but that doesn't mean that this was bad by any means. The Wii version was pretty good, and playing it in the Switch version iteration, I liked it a good deal. Couple of little moments where like you're trying to use the lock-on, where I feel like the lock-on like really fucks your ability to use the block mechanic to like deflect blaster bullets back at stormtroopers, and that can get annoying. But for the most part, the game controls totally fine. I played it with button mapping, not with motion controls, and it's repetitive. It's 10 levels of just hack and slash, but you get light upgrades, and it feels really good by the end of the game because you feel so powerful after you upgraded the abilities that you want to upgrade. So you're just fucking like locking onto a set of like 5 enemies and just fucking shooting lightning bolts out of your hands and just zapping the life out of these motherfuckers. And then you find a guy you don't like and you pick him up and you just fucking throw. I got to this one point in the last level, I loved it so much, where it like traps you in this little battle arena and you have to fight like these 8 enemies, and like 3 of them were like these tank enemies that are obnoxious and they block like every fucking hit you do. I'm like, God damn it, I'm so tired of fighting these guys. So I was like, oh wait a minute, there's a cliff over there. So I would just force grab these fuckers and just throw them off the cliff instead of blocking their attacks and waiting for the window to open up and slashing them and all that. I just pick them up and throw them off a cliff. Pick them up, throw them off a cliff. And it's like, that's the shit that makes Star Wars The Force Unleashed such a very, very fun game. Aside from it just being like a stupid fucking goofy ass Star Wars story that like takes itself seriously but isn't very good. And it's like, oh, remember when Star Wars was like this before it got like just bad? It just reminds me of a simpler time with Star Wars as an IP that makes me just nostalgic, but also appreciate it for what it was. And it's fun. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing special. By today's standards, you would never get a game this simplistic released anymore. But God, I wish sometimes we would, because it's fun. Sometimes it's fun to just play a level-based third-person action-adventure hack-and-slash game, and that's exactly what Star Wars The Force Unleashed is. So beat that, had a great time, and then Sunday evening, I finally had the opportunity to sit down and start my Donkey Kong Bonanza playthrough. Now, I am about 3 hours into this game. I have just completed the first main level, section, island, whatever of the game, and it's so early impressions. I'll have a lot more to say next week, needless to say, but this game is, as you would expect from the people behind 3D Mario, instantaneously just an absolute blast to play. It is so much fun. You pick it up and you're just instantly having the time of your life. This game starts out and you're like, there's this little section where you're in the mines and it's kind of just walking you. It's doing that thing where it's like naturally kind of like teaching you how to play the game without teaching you how to do it. And you're just kind of going through a very linear little thing in the beginning that opens up some of like the synopsis of the game. And it's like, oh yeah, press the Y button, just smash through shit. And it's like, go meet your friends over here, right? And you're just supposed to like walk forward, break a wall, and go meet up with some other monkeys and grab a banana. But I got so immediately distracted by this game's mechanics that I spent like the first 35 minutes of the game standing in one spot, just smashing up, smashing down, smashing left, smashing right, and just beating the fuck out of every surface around me, destroying shit, collecting these banana bead power up currency token things, and just fucking around with this game because it just feels so good to move around, jump, and break the fuck out of everything around you. But then you kind of get into the game, and the mechanics open themselves up, and you get a little bit of the story content, and you start to kind of see how the game rolls out. And it's very interesting because in a lot of ways it's like Mario Odyssey or like a 3D Mario game where you're collecting these bananas that are like Mario shine sprites, but it's not like hop into a level, collect the star, get out of the level, or like in Mario Odyssey where it's like go around this world and just do these different challenges. It is kind of like Mario Odyssey in that way, but it's also just like here's a little like level open-ended area, just explore it, do different challenges, find these little shrine missions that are almost reminiscent of Zelda a little bit. What was the game I was saying it kind of reminded me of? There was a game the other night I was playing, I was like, you know what game this really reminds me of? I can't remember right now, but the game reminds me of a lot of things, not just Mario. It has a little bit of Zelda to it. Oh, Splatoon, duh. The way some of its missions, like, because you're walking around these like hub open maps that are like a main level, but within them there are like other challenges and little mini levels that feel very much like, honestly, the way this game's world feels is kind of like the blending of Sonic Frontiers, the new 3D Sonic game, mixed with like a Splatoon campaign where like you're in a hub world and it's kind of like the main level like it is in Sonic Frontiers, but also like you're doing all these little mini challenges and collectibles around the map, kind of like Mario Odyssey, but then you're going into these sub-levels within the levels to do little challenges, and then that feels kind of like Sonic Frontiers or like Splatoon because like they're little bite-sized missions, and you'll get like timed on them, and it's like just complete this or kill this many enemies or jump over here, and it feels like a mix of like the shrines from Breath of the Wild mixed with the level structure of like a Splatoon game, mixed with the overworld structure of Sonic Frontiers, mixed with the vibe and feel of something like a Mario Odyssey. So I feel like this game is kind of the culmination of all four of those products, and I really, really dig the way that this game is laid out. It's very fun because it makes it feel like it's like here's a level, here's an objective. Now you can do this, and this. And you don't have to do everything to move forward. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to explore, what you want to knock out, what you want to tackle. And then there's like light upgrades and stuff you can do because modern video games, but otherwise, it's a lot of platforming, it's a lot of collecting, it's a lot of exploration, and then it's a lot of ticking things off boxes, which is what a 3D platformer should be. And the thing I love about games like this and like Mario Odyssey and like Sonic Frontiers is that I feel like modern 3D platform games are so focused on exploration and short bursts of level-based experiences. It's like complete a challenge, complete a level, complete an experience, complete a zone, do a thing, explore a place, unlock a thing. But like if you went back in time to like the N64 era when we were talking more about games like Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64 or Mario 64, back in those games it was more about collecting. There's still a collecting aspect to this game, of course. You're still collecting these banana things or whatever, these banana sprites. But in addition to that, it's not just about collecting and getting the collectible number up and up. It's about exploring, unlocking, completing, and doing things. So it's not just... It's like less about making an inventory item tick up and more about actually actively doing things and experiencing a game. And I feel like that makes it more engaging and more fun because you're constantly being given tasks and things to do and things to focus on and places to look and challenges to try, and it just makes the game so much fun. But yeah, control wise, this game feels great. Like you would think that it'd be like a little cumbersome just digging up and down and like getting lost and everything, but the game does a great job between the map and the camera controls and everything of just letting you kind of direct the experience where you want it to go and it just feels great. But I don't want to get into it too much because, again, I'm only a couple hours in. We'll talk about more next week, but Donkey Kong Bonanza is phenomenal so far. I'm really enjoying it. My only criticism from it early on is that I feel like aesthetically, this game is a little lacking. Like, it has that thing that so many modern games have where I'm like, if this is Donkey Kong, I understand we're not DK Island or whatever. It's not going to look all tropical, but it's like, why does it look like I'm just in like all these floating platforms and the background is just like a skybox? It's like, shouldn't there be more personality and charm to this world and like this environment, this setting I'm in? And I just feel like sometimes the game looks a little bit like it's so focused on the mechanical excitement of the game that it forgets about like environmental excitement and really like, I guess, transporting you into this world they've created, because it feels a little more functional than it does like form. It's some function over form, if that makes sense. But anyway, like, that's a small gripe. Overall, the game itself, the gameplay, the thing that matters the most is just super fun, and I'm really liking Donkey Kong Bonanza. So that's it for what I've been playing, guys. I'm going to take a quick water break, then we'll come back, and we'll wrap up with the comments for this week. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, let's wrap up with some comments from the audience. YouTube.com/XboxOnPodcast. It's at XboxOnPodcast, YouTube.com. Click on latest episode, drop a comment, say something nice, be a dick. I don't care. Really, it's up to you what you want to do with your life. And then we'll talk about it on the show. We got a couple comments, and in traditional modern Xbox On fashion, I was too lazy to sift through them accordingly, or an appropriate, organized kind of way. So we got just this mess of comments here. So Jay writes in. Jay, he says, let's start off with Jay because it's been a while, and he's here because it's been a while, and Jay's here, and we're all excited to be together again as a family. And Jay's, of course, the Xbox daddy. He says, you are right, Jesse. Over the past few years, there have been a lot of excellent games put out there on Xbox, and this year has been no exception. As a gamer, I can't complain. However, for every great game they release, Microsoft makes one or two bad decisions. Absolutely. Always shooting the brand in the foot. They often do things too quickly, too soon. But anyway, for the record, you always pronounce my surname perfectly. Ozzy could be short for autistic, and yeah, I'm a book nerd. But I'm off Instagram now because one day a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't come up with a solid reason as to why I should stay on there. I could no longer think of a reason why I needed to post on Xbox screenshots or covers of novels. I will, though, in all sincerity, miss your pics of Disney theme parks and your cat, but we'll still have the Xbox On podcast. Jay, thank you for writing in. Yeah, exactly. It's always one step forward, two steps back with Xbox. Everything they do. And I think it's just, as fans, it's like, you get exhausted from it, man. It's just like, all right, something good happened, so what's the bad thing that's around the corner, right? Like, we had this amazing spring where it was like Avowed and Expedition 33 and South of Midnight and Doom and all, Towerborn, and then, all this stuff just back to back to back to back. And it was just like, all right, Oblivion Remake, where's the bad news? And then, lo and behold, there it is. We're killing a bunch of people. I feel like next time they're going to be like, we're not even going to bother laying these people off. We're just going to kill them so we don't have to worry about them ending up, out of a job or something like that. But what else is there for us to say? It's just disheartening and so unfortunately predictable at this point. So, as for your comments, I forgot I said that on the podcast. I knew there was somewhere I said that. I don't know why, but for some reason, because it's become like this thing where it's like you can't say retarded anymore, but you can say autistic. I just love like the arbitrariness of it. It reminds me of the one I always use. My favorite one is like about, I don't know, when 7-10 years ago, when it became like kind of there became like a defined shift in the way we identify people of different minority races and stuff, where the politically correct term is people of color or person of color, which is fine. It's like let's all agree on a term that's neutral and it's used to identify a person or a group of people, but doesn't have any cultural baggage or historical weight or negativity or mean spiritedness to it. I'm all for it. I don't give a shit. Whatever. At the end of the day, words are all made up, phrases are all made up. Let's come up with the words we need so we can be equipped with the vocabulary we need to have proper communication. But I just love laughing at sometimes the hypocrisy in the arbitrariness of the words we come up with, because one of my favorite is the I always rag on is person of color, which is like the polite or politically correct way of saying, it's like, a minority person, a black person, a Hispanic person. It's a person of color, right? But I'm like, but if you just change it from being the prepositional phrase, the grammatical phrase of person of color, and then you just switch it around into being more of a direct object where the where the verb modifies the noun, then it's a colored person, and then it's racist. Then it's like, okay, you fucked up. You can't have a colored person. The person has to be of color. It's like, all right, well, I listen. I'm a part of the modern world. I understand why one of those is offensive and the other isn't. Like in a social context, but in like a linguistic sense, this is ridiculous and completely arbitrary. So it's just, I don't know why, but for some reason it evolved from that, where I just always like kind of laugh to myself where I'm like, who made the decision as to which one is wrong and which one is right to say? And then I started thinking about the R word a lot, because for the longest time, it's like, 15, 20 years ago, every fucking 14-year-old boy was like, dude, you're fucking retarded, you stupid piece of shit. And it's like how we mess with one another. Everything was either retarded or gay. And now it's like, you don't fucking say those words. You don't jokingly throw that R word around. But in the past couple of years, I've noticed there's been a little bit of a resurgence. People are kind of taking it back. They're like, no. I don't think you understand how fun it was to call your friend retarded back in the day. So we're kind of bringing it back a little bit. I tried to use it very sparingly. I'm repeating the word right now for the explanation's sake, not to be inflammatory or to offend, but just to make a point. But like I understand the words come back to some extent, but the thing I laugh about with that example is it's like, in place of using that R word, we've now moved to a place where the more appropriate thing is to say autistic, which I'm like, but that's still insulting. It's just, I guess I agree. Again, I guess, I'm part of the modern world. I understand it in a social context why I guess it's less offensive to say autistic than it is to say retarded, but it's still offensive and it's still probably not the right thing to say. But we've gotten to this point where it's just like, yeah, we can call ourselves autistic, we can call our friends autistic, just don't call anyone retarded unless you're like, edgy enough to think you can get away with it. But it's like, it's so weird to me. So I don't know, that's where that came from, where I was like, okay, but we can say autistic, but it's not okay to say. And then for some reason, I started shorthanding autistic in a self-aware fit of anxiety. I was like, well, I got to shorthand autistic if I'm going to use that word. So I said Aussie. I don't know why, but I was like, Aussie is what people say to refer to Australian people. I'm like, that's fine. I don't think Australians get ragged on enough. When you think about English-speaking people or countries and cultures, people love to rag on the British, people love to rag on the Americans, people love to rag on the Canadians. I feel like people don't really rag on the Australians. The Australians are kind of like the cool English-speaking people, So it's like, all right, yeah, fuck it. Let's give the Australians a hard time. They use the CUNT word pretty liberally. So yeah, let's just conflate autism with Australian, and that's where that came from in my mind. That's the track in which my mind was on when I somehow created or adopted. Maybe someone else said it and then I adopted it and forgot. I don't know. But that's where the Aussie autistic thing comes from. It's not to intentionally insult the Australians. I just think it's too fitting of a phrase. So if I ever call you Aussie, I'm not referring to your nationality. All right, now that incredibly unnecessary explanation has been said, I do want to address kind of what you put on the bottom here, Jay, because you're someone I follow on Instagram. I enjoy following people back who listen to the podcast on social media and keeping up with you guys, especially the ones who are like normal, well-adjusted people that have like friends and families and lives and interests, because it's like I don't know, it's fun to know that on the other end of the podcast are actual humans listening, and it's fun to follow along. Unless you're one of those people that's like, my whole brand identity is Xbox versus PlayStation, then it's like, all right, you're weird. You need to go outside and drink pond water or something. But no, I have a similar thing with you, man, where I've really just bounced out of social media. Like, it started a couple of years ago. I left Twitter, and it's not like an Elon Musk thing or anything. It's like I just left Twitter because I just wasn't happy on Twitter. I realized it was an unhealthy relationship I had with that platform. So I just left it, and I went to Threads when it first started because I was like, Threads is something I could use the way I can't use Twitter anymore, but it can still give me that Twitter fix where I follow like news organizations and brands and stuff like that, but I don't really follow people on Threads. So I use it. It's just like, it feels like Twitter. It looks like Twitter. I actually think it looks a little nicer than Twitter. But I just use it to get like stupid information about like comic book movies and video game shit. And it's just like information and viral shit pushed to my face as opposed to like people. I don't like, the thing I love about Threads is I don't get people's takes on it. I don't feel like I come across people who are like, here's my opinion on something. Like, I don't care about your opinion, guy with 8,000 followers. So I'm really enjoying Threads, but part of that relationship is that I have never posted on Threads and I will never post on Threads. I don't interact with it. I don't comment. I don't do anything. I just have a profile and I just follow and scroll. That's all I do. And so that's like the majority of my traditional social media these days. I barely touch Instagram anymore. And when I do, I don't post stories anymore. Cause I mean, like we all feel the same way about stories. It's like you post a story, you want to know people are watching it, how many people saw my story, but then you realize it's silly because like maybe 4 people actually give a shit. And the rest of the people that saw your story, they don't, they're just clicking through, tapping through, just to kind of get through the list and be friendly to their friends, but they don't actually give a shit about what you're doing. And then it's like, it's just like this attention game. And then I'm like, this isn't healthy. We shouldn't be doing this. So I've backed off of Instagram and I really don't use it anymore. I really mostly just use it to follow and support my girlfriend's artwork, and that's like really it. That's Instagram. And then I mean, obviously I'm always on social media. Technically Reddit and YouTube are social media, but I'm on those things again, consuming. I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm reading Reddit threads. I'm not posting on Reddit. I'm not like, fuck the liberals. Here's why we shouldn't allow Jewish people in the country. I'm not crazy. I'm not one of those people. I'm just I'm on Reddit following like subreddits for like Windows Phone and like the Wii U and all this defunct hardware that nobody gives a shit about. That's what I'm doing on there. And I'm just always watching YouTube. But I'm with you, man. It's like the social media. It's like what am I doing? This isn't productive. And a lot of times it just creates an unhealthy relationship with this never-ending chase for social attention. And it's like that really says a lot about us as a species, right? Like how needy and deprived we are that like everyone's like, how can I get noticed online? It said the guy talking to himself on his one-man podcast. So I don't know. I'm with you, man. It's just, I bounced out of Instagram. I bounced out of social media for the most part. And, probably for the better. I personally think I'm healthier and happier without it. And hopefully you feel the same way. But if you ever get the itch and you want to come back, just know, at least I was watching. I'll always be there to support you if you decide to post about a book you're reading on Instagram yet again. All right, we probably shouldn't have led with that comment just because it ended up, the discussion was so non-gaming focused. But oh well, if you made it this far, there's something else wrong with you, and you're probably not here for the video game conversation. You're probably here because you're emotionally disturbed. So, keeping with the emotionally disturbed theme, we move on over from Australia to the conquering land of Australia, the conquerors of Australia, the UK, the British, the fucking cargo runners. You know who they are. The cargo runners invaded Australia in the 1840s, I believe it was. And Cargo Runner writes in this week and says, really interested in hearing everyone's comments. We all seem to feel the same, just burnt out with the new game, with all the Xbox ups and downs this generation, constant U-turns, Tango being closed down, and now so many job cuts, including more than 50% of Turn 10. I honestly cannot guess what Xbox will look like in 2 to 3 years. If the accountants are running Xbox only care about the big bag of money making games, will Xbox be investing or supporting AA games, indie games, Japanese games, etc.? Will those kinds of games be on Steam or PlayStation? Will Xbox be improving features like achievements that they don't make money off of? The uncertainty just makes me reluctant to spend more money on Xbox, so I'm not renewing my Game Pass subscription, and I'm just going to play through my old Xbox One backlog while I wait to see what happens with the next console. I really hope it's great, and I really hope it's translucent green or crystal. Damn, I love those translucent Xbox OG consoles. Yeah, those were cool. Those and the N64s and the Game Boy Colors and all that stuff. Yeah, I think you're really touching on something that's super important. The thing is, it's like, Xbox with like 40 million consoles sold or whatever is not lighting the world on fire, but it's profitable. If you're making games and you're selling games and you have 40 million install base and people are buying games, people are buying microtransactions and spending time playing your console and they're subscribing to your online service, Xbox Live and stuff like that. I'm talking about in a no Game Pass scenario, right? Like that is still a profitable business model. Now, is it profitable enough for Microsoft to give a shit about? Probably not. But if you're making Halo and Forza and Gears and you got 40 million people playing and they're subscribed to $10 a month Xbox Live and they're playing, they're buying their Ubisoft games and they're buying Fortnite V-Bucks and they're doing it all in the Xbox ecosystem and that's where they're playing and hanging out with friends, that is still a lucrative and financially viable platform and thing to build and sustain for yourself. And I feel like that part of the conversation is somewhat lost, where we got so distracted in Game Pass and how much further ahead PlayStation was than Xbox that we forgot that where Xbox was not as great as it could have been, was not as great as it was during the Xbox 360 years, but it was still a healthy and viable place to be as a business. And now where we are is we're taking those 40 million people that were installed, that were dedicated, that were buying the games and subscribing to the services and enjoying the platform, and we're saying at every fucking turn, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. We're saying, stop buying games, subscribe to Game Pass, stop believing in us. We'll make another console, but God knows what it'll look like. Buy your games on Steam, buy your games on PlayStation. Fuck you. Everyone you love is out of a job. This game's canceled. Fuck you for looking forward to it. And it's just this constant, this is what's going to kill Xbox, if anything. It's telling your most hardcore fans like myself and like a lot of you guys listening to this podcast, thanks for supporting us. Go fuck yourself. Here's a bunch of doubt and uncertainty about our future. Go buy a fucking handheld made by this Taiwanese computer company and we'll squint our eyes and pretend it's an Xbox because of a logo in the bottom left-hand corner. No. That's not an Xbox. That's not what we're looking for as consumers. Stop fucking lying to us. Get out of here. This is boring. This is not what we want. Game Pass is killing the Xbox ecosystem. I know that's probably my more controversial take. I really kind of wish we could just go back to a time before Game Pass and never go down that road. It's great that PlayStation gamers have access to Xbox games. It's awesome for them. But that just gives everyone else less reason to stick with Xbox. And you just keep putting more nails in the coffin and saying, fuck Xbox, fuck you guys for supporting it through all these years. Remember the Don Matrick years? Remember the early Xbox One years where it was tough to be an Xbox fan? Yeah, fuck you for sticking around. Go buy a PlayStation. And that's just kind of what it feels like. And I don't blame it more people if they're kind of sitting back and going, okay, now we wait and see how things play out because I don't feel confident that we're going in the right direction. And that's just going to compound their woes and issues. So, Cargo Runner, I think what you're doing as a consumer is very, very reasonable and justifiable. And I think what Xbox is doing is creating more people like you and less people who were willing to sit through all the uncertainty and bullshit. So, Xbox, way to continue to shoot yourself in the foot. All right, Cronky says, my friendly neighborhood just came to Xbox. Play it. It's amazing. It's Sesame Street meets Resident Evil, but it's like touching instead of grotesque. I've never heard of this game. My friendly neighborhood. Why did I know it was going to look like this? It is Sesame Street. God damn it, Cronky. You and the Sesame Street. Why are you always into it? Oh, it's a Game Pass game too? Yeah, it does look cute. I don't know. Maybe. I don't have Game Pass right now. I would be interested in giving this a try. It's just right now I'm not really on Xbox. I'm switching it up with Donkey Kong, baby. But it does look cute. Thanks for the recommendation. Maybe someone will check it out. I sound kind of dismissive. I didn't mean for it to sound like that. All right, next up, the woke dead Captain James. I gotta stop saying that. Dead Captain James. You know him from the beginning. He says, gosh, 2025 sucks so much. We are rolling back environmental protections to help the planet. People are losing jobs by the thousands. People are being rounded up and shipped off to God knows where and basically getting put on to diet concentration camps. And Xbox is literally destroying itself. I really wish for some good news for a change. Dead Captain James, never has someone written in never on this podcast history has someone written in a way where I thought, oh, did I black out, make a different YouTube account, and leave a comment on my own podcast? Because this guy's starting to sound a little similar, huh? Yeah, it's been a year. I don't know, man. it's hard not to feel like we're constantly making all the worst decisions and that things are getting worse and worse. And it's so exhausting hearing people being like, "Oh, things are so much better than they've ever been. Do you know what it'd been like 200 years ago?" It's like, listen, I understand we don't shit in the ground anymore, right? And I understand that, joking aside from what I said earlier in the podcast, I understand it's great that women can vote and all these things. It's awesome that we have a vaccine for polio. This is excellent, right? We have made progress, but I don't think it is selfish, and I don't think it is. I don't think we're being ungrateful and selfish to not only want but expect more from the world around us, from the governments that fail us every day to the corporations that basically own us and our politicians. I don't think it is wrong for us to expect better. We can make all the advancements and improvements we've made over the years and years and years, hundreds of years this country's been around, thousands of years other countries have been around, centuries, decades, eons, whatever's millennia that the planet's been around, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know, millions of years that the planet's been around. We can make the progress we've made and still expect more. And in fact, we should. I would say that it is on us as humans, as people who are currently the overseers and the proprietors of the world in its current incarnation, to constantly expect and push for and strive for only the best, only positivity, only growth, only the best for our planet, for our world, for our people, for our corporations, for our consumers, and of course, most importantly, for the future generations who will inherit all this bullshit. And, not to get political about it, really just to keep it general, and we can tailor it back to gaming even specifically. It just sucks when you see something that is good with room for improvement getting worse and worse and worse. And it's like, that seems like a step backwards, right? Can we all agree on that? When something that was good but had room for improvement is just getting worse, that's usually considered a bad thing. And I think there's a cause for concern when pretty much everything around us feels that way. Most of us are blessed. Most people listen to this podcast, myself certainly, are blessed to be in the situation we're in. God, there's a million things that could be worse in my life. And I know people who have it worse than me, just based on certain dispositions and things that they can't control in this world. And I try to be grateful every day for what I have and where I am, but I am constantly frustrated and disappointed by the world I live in and by the forces and hands that get to guide it, because they suck. And you know who would be better, I think, at this point at guiding the world forward and fixing the woes of our modern day? The Aussies, honestly. I think if you round it up, a couple dozen Aussies, and you install them in all the big Fortune 500 companies and governments around the world, I think a couple Aussies, nothing going on today that a couple Aussies couldn't fix. That's what I think. If I'm talking about Australians or autistics, that's totally up for you to interpret. I'm not taking a stance. But Dead Captain James, I think we gotta turn to our friends, turn to our A friends, and hope for the best. All right, let's round out with Happy Mario, possibly one of the most Aussie people who've ever listened to this podcast, and therefore one of my favorite people. Happy Mario is a good man with a good heart, and he scored well over 80 points on his SAT score. So give it up for Happy Mario, who writes and says, not a lot to say about Xbox this week. I guess that is good in its own way. Played a couple of games on the Series X. RoboCop, Crash Bandicoot 4, both good games. But what I'm really enjoying is on my Switch 2. And yes, you guessed it. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza. Oh, what a game. Nintendo saves the video game industry. Atari have a new console, 2600 plus Pac-Man edition. I might actually order this, and I believe it plays original 2600 cartridges, which I have a few of. So tempted. Have a good week, Jesse. Happy gaming. I have not heard about this 2600 plus, and I'll be completely honest with you, I have no interest. Atari, I know, is an important name in a historical context, but it means nothing to me in terms of the nostalgia or the meaning or anything like that. So not to be mean, but I'm just not even gonna look into that. But I am glad you're loving Donkey Kong Bonanza, because here's the thing: if we can't have job security for the fine folks that worked at these various Xbox teams that are now without work, if we can't have the fun products and services that Xbox and Microsoft used to be known for, but now refuse to engage in, if we can't have a safe and secure future led by governments and corporations that have the best interests of the people at heart and mind, in charge of everything, then at the very least, for love of God, please, oh dear Lord, can we at least have Donkey Kong and bananas? And I think the Lord responded and he said, yes, we can have plenty of bananas. All you got to do is run around and pound your way through the Ingot Island and fucking pound, and collect all the bananas and bust through them with your big monkey fists and all that. And it's so good because the monkeys, they want the bananas, but only Donkey Kong has the willpower to obtain the bananas, and therefore we become stronger and better off. I keep seeing Ozzy Osbourne is dead. I keep seeing this everywhere. Stop showing me that. I know that's sad. It's weird. I didn't ask for this. So why do you keep telling me about it? I know. Stop. What can I do about it? I can't even reach out to his family and give them my condolences because I simply have no means of communicating with them. So please stop. What's her name? Cheryl? Something like that, right? The wife of Ozzy Osbourne? Come on now. All right. Guys, that's it for the podcast this week. You all have a wonderful day. Be well. Be good. I recorded early, but I'm going to edit tomorrow because I'll have a little bit of time to edit it. And that way, if anything crazy happens, maybe I'll have time to do a quick recording and throw it in there. So hopefully we shouldn't be missing any big news this week. But you guys have a great week. Be well. Play some games, whether you're enjoying your Xbox or enjoying playing somewhere else. Just enjoy your time with your video games, your time with your friends and family and loved ones. Until next week, please be safe. Control what you can control. Was it that they say in Unlost by the Main off the 2015 record American Candy? Control what you can, confront what you can't, and always remember how lucky you are to have Game Pass. Guys, power your dreams.